So this week, chapter 5 is talking about work. What is work? What is the value of work? And what do we look for in work? And what do businesses owe us by offering work, or if they owe us anything? And so we're kind of talking about work and is it good or is it bad? And there's different arguments on this, right? Some people say work, labor, toiling is bad. It's something you don't want to do. It's something people want to avoid. And others might say that they enjoy work or they find something good from work. And either way, the argument is that a business, if they're offering work for you to do, that whether you think it's good work or bad work, the employer is responsible for making it the best working situation that they can. So we talk about work and how it ties to ethics, and work is a huge part of almost all of our lives. I think there's very few people in the world who can get away with not working or doing any sort of work. And those people still might do something that is kind of like work. He mentions the golf example, working on bettering his guy's golfing game. So it's still kind of like work, but different kind of work, more enjoyable kind of work. But most of us are working in one form or another. And work tends to be a big part of our lives, and therefore we're very influenced by our work and how we do work and what we do for work. So a lot of people are defined a little bit, at least, by what they do for work. And they use that as part of their identity of who they are. So if you are tied to your work and it is part of who you are, part of your identity, it can also be tied to your ethics and your values as well. So we talk about why people would even want to work or why people do work. And some people might be looking for more than just income. That's usually the main reason, right? People work to get money to pay for things, to live, to have shelter and food and water and all the things that they need to live, and then also plus the things that they want, like PS5s or something like that. You work to have income to buy the things you want. This is all very self-explanatory, right? But they also talk about things outside of just income that you maybe have thought about, maybe you haven't thought about specifically, but those are called psychic goods. And the psychic goods are tied, like I said, to who you are a little bit and also how you feel. And it's a type of income that isn't money. It's something you get from working that's not just money. And that could be satisfaction for accomplishing challenges or putting your mind to work or just that satisfaction of doing something. There might be social aspects. So you might get enjoyment from socializing with customers or other employees. There might be, they mentioned the family business that had been passed down for years. That's kind of a social aspect, continuing that family business ties socially into your family. And other people might just do it because they like to contribute to society and they feel good about contributing to society and doing their best work that can provide good in the world. And I think nurses are a great example of that. They do amazing things. A lot of people do amazing things for their work, but they do those things and they get to feel good about doing those things, but they also get paid, hopefully. And so some people like the feeling of contributing something good. So he mentions theory Y, which is interesting. Theory X versus theory Y. I've learned about, you might learn about it in some of your other business classes, but Theory X says that workers are just there to get money and get paid. This is just strictly a transaction between me and the employee, and I'm just going to pay them for their work, and I get their work, and they get the money. And that's all it is. That's all a business owes its employees. And so it's a theory of management that basically says that people don't want to work. People are lazy, so you have to use punishment to keep them in line and etc. Versus theory Y is more lenient. It says people want to develop themselves and they want to be They want to get more out of work than just income. And so therefore, the best way to motivate employees and workers is to try to help them develop themselves. And so it's two different models, like I said, just touch on very briefly, and then he kind of calls it different things. So we're going to go into that next. So different models of work. The first one is the conventional model of work. So this is tied to Theory X, where work is just, it's not fun. It's not something you want to do. It's something you should avoid if you can. But you might have to do it to get other things. And so the first kind of viewpoint of the conventional model says that humans are meant for a higher purpose, and that higher purpose is not found through work, it's found through studying art or politics or participating in other things. And this sounds like a very privileged position to think that humans are not meant to work. And, maybe there's something to that, but it's an interesting theory nonetheless, that humans are not meant to work, and we are meant to be, put our mind to higher purposes. The second viewpoint of conventional model is the more like hedonistic, where you should only work to get things. You should only work to get that income to go after what you actually want. And that's the only reason you should be working. And so those are both more like conventional ideas that work is just a transactionary thing. It's not something to enjoy. It's not something to develop yourself. It's not anything like that. It's just a job. You go there, you make money, you get paid. So the next model they talk about is the human fulfillment model. This is almost exactly the opposite. It says that humans should work to develop themselves. So that work is something good. It's something necessary. It's something that all people should do because that's going to help people be better people and reach higher fulfillment for themselves. So it helps improve your character. And I don't think many people could argue against that. I think work, if you've ever had a job or if you've ever worked, you understand that work definitely helps you build character, helps you learn things about patience and helping others and hard work, obviously. So this is tied a little bit into virtue ethics, right? Because virtue ethics talks about just being a virtuous person. And a lot of those good virtuous characteristics are developed through working and putting your mind to something and trying really hard. So that is how work can make you a more ethical person. And that's kind of what the human fulfillment model looks like. It is interesting. I like the quote in here that they talk about, and it's work that does good things for me can do bad things to me. And it's this idea, once again, that work is tied a little bit into who we are as people. So if you are at a job and you're making lots of money at that job, that's great. It's doing great things for you. But if it's a really toxic environment, if it's super high stress, if people you're working with are really awful, etc., then that can really impact your mental health and your well-being. And so therefore it can do bad things to you and turn you into maybe a toxic character as well, and it can hurt you. So the idea is that work should do good things for you in terms of income and benefits, etc., but it also should do good things to you, and it should make you a better character and a better person. And then finally, there is the liberal model, and this is kind of a middle ground. It says that work is not just a transaction, there's a higher purpose to work, but nobody should be defining what that is. It should be up to every individual. So it's kind of this vague middle ground area where it says you can't make people be better at work, but you should also give them the opportunity to be better if they want to be better. And it goes into this interesting theory because we all know, or most of us probably know somebody who's really happy at their job that you would never be happy at, that you could never imagine yourself working. And that's because that model of work is fulfilling to them. And I know people who love cleaning and they love it, and that's their passion. They think it's the best work there is because that's how their brain processes things, and they like the time to think, and they like the just cleaning things. And so that's fantastic. That's not my favorite thing in the world, so that wouldn't be as fulfilling for me. But that doesn't mean that their work is wrong or that they're wrong for wanting to do that work. And that's kind of what the liberal model says, is that you can't define the perfect workplace for everyone. You just have to, but you have to give them better work than just um, menial labor if that's not fulfilling to people. So the final section, and I think we'll probably get more into this in some other chapters, are what do businesses owe people? Do they owe people development? Do they owe you making you a better person? Or do they just owe you money and that's it? And I think as society, we have demanded more and more as time progresses. We don't just want wages anymore. I think one that's we've actually implemented legally is we want safe working conditions. We don't want to put our health at risk while working. And those are things we've enacted into law. Um, we want more of people are demanding even more than that though, and they are demanding development and training and privacy. There's all these different things that we're asking of a job. And the more an employer can provide and can offer to employees, the more likely they're going to attract and retain the best employees, right? So as a workforce, the more we demand from our employers, the more they have to kind of provide to us if they want to keep the best people. And we talk about that, but not every business feels that way, and not every manager is going to feel that way, and not every business owner is going to feel like they owe you anything more than wages and what they're legally obligated to provide. And so is that going to be the best workplace for you, or is that just going to be a job? And that's an important distinguish between when you have a job and when you have a career. And a career hopefully will give you a path to develop yourself and make yourself better versus just a job as maybe something you just make money at. And hopefully all of you are striving to have more of a career than just a job. If you feel like you are not able to develop yourself at work, then you have to ask yourself if you're okay with that and that's how you want to live. And if you do, that's fine. According to the liberal model, you are fine to just do your job, make your money, and the conventional model would say that as well. But if you're not happy there, then you're not being fulfilled in any manner, then you do owe it to yourself, I think, to try to work towards more fulfillment. And that's it for this chapter. We'll talk again next chapter.